First, we need to, collect all the knowledge too. So then, on you kind of there's a sense of understanding. Oh, this is how emptiness, and then each, like for example, emptiness of eye, or emptiness of color, or emptiness of smell. Just try to remain at that particular absence. You bring your mind closer to that and abide in it, that absence. This meditation means first you have to, collect all the the parts of the analytical meditation. First, you have to collect all the knowledge, and then you meditate. For example, now we analyze on the colors, smell, taste, textures. Then, at the same time, in our mind, they're very innately things when you talk about the braid. So the braid by itself, there is some kind of braid. Braid is not nose, not an eye, it's not the textures. The braid is independent from yourself, and that braid contains the color, smell, taste, textures. Now the question is the braid by itself contains, or it has imposes the color, smell, taste, textures. If it just imposes by the mind, then there is no such braid by itself contains color, smell, taste, textures. So then again we think, then how are things really happening? So we have languages. We say, oh, this is this 20-gram honey, or this is the 1 pound sugar. So there's so many things the language is expressing. There's the sugar. Is it the taste? If it is the taste, and how can you say it's the pound? The pound is the weight. Weight is the texture. So there's so many, the mentally, the interpretations, kind of, into making something, how say, making something out of your, imagination, the feeling, making things, making things means your thoughts, making things up. And then that is also, now the Prasangika school says, what has thought has made up as the braid that consists of the four substance is, Prasangika school says, that is illusion. That is the reality. The braid consists, the four substance is reality. Conceptually conceiving, the braid has color, smell, taste, textures. I think that is already an illusion, the big illusions. Because each color we find, it is just, it's a creation between your eye sense power and the outer element. Is a creation between your eye sense power and the sun and the light, space, and the form. It's creation between there. So if the creations, it is part of the eye sense power, it is a part of the light, it is part of the space, it is part of the form. And just like a rainbow that arises, if the color is just simply creation between the sense power and the outer element, inner element and outer element, and similarly the smell and the taste and the textures. How can this four substance by objectively or kind of substantially independently exist from one substantial phenomena which is called braid? That kind of is logically it is not really possible, but we conceive, when we say about the braid, or this has soft braid, this is a sweet braid, so which means our we innately thinks there is some kind of braid by itself that consists of the four substance. but it's all sensory experience supporting it, proving that to you. So the mindfulness, the Prasangika school said that's also part of the illusion, is the reflections. Is relatively exist when there is the braid, some kind of the substance, when you can't a relation with the eye, the color manifest. With the relation with nose, the smell, relation with the tongue, the taste. The relatively, yes, there is, you know, there is some kind of braid which has the colors, smell, taste, the textures. But now the question is, the opposite of the relative is independently, intrinsically. Is there the braid by itself? By itself brings the color, by itself produce the color. So then if there is some kind of braid by itself produce the color, have the color, so then without depending on the light, without depending on the space, without depending on the sense power, and by braid, it produces, it has, it contains the color. So that is not possible. So the relativity exists. That relativity is called, the Prasangika is called the language they use, illusion-like phenomena. Illusion-like phenomena. So the first we analyze, then we contemplate. So the world that I live, I see, see things. So the color is the creation, smells, taste, the text, all textures, all are just, it's not outside, it's not just inside, it's just between that arises manifest. So which means, am I seeing the color in, elements? I do not see any color outside of my inner element. I do not see outside of the outer element. Color do not see in the outside of the outer element, or not outside of the inner element. The contact. So then see, this is very much like the reflections. So not there, not here, but it's manifest. So, and then you meditate on the mindfulness of the body. Mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of the body means meditating, contemplating on, each elements in your body, and space, heats, moistures, uh, and then solidities. So the each element, is totally devoid of self of the person. No self, no person, no male, no female. So it's the whole body is the totally devoid of self of the person. But without this, there is no person to conceive, to imagine. So this like exactly the same the way you find the braid, right? The braid is there's nothing inside the outer element, not inside, in the inner element, not in between. It is hanging. So similarly, I am in the mind. That I am as a human being. I am as a person. I am as a male or female. That is also not in the between, not in within the body. It just reflects in the mind. So then you again and again you contemplate, oh, the emptiness of the kind of emptiness of I. No I means there is no objective, the objectified self is not possible. So if you see the I, the self, or the person is not objectively exists, therefore, if you think I do not exist in the reality, that is nihilism. because you are going beyond the relatively existing. The Buddha says you have to come back to the relatively exist. That is your object, to see yourself as the male or the female, and see in the how's that, the braid that is relatively existing. So they contemplate, and then you somehow you would objectively when you examine and you find no self, no person, no male, no female, and then remain in that absence because objectively you have negated self and person. That is also reality. Objectively not existing of self is reality. Then you kind of remain in focus in that absence of objectively no I. So if you're coming again and again focusing, meditating, and meditating means and means bringing your mind closer to what you have negated, objective I, just staring at it, or focusing, abiding in that for maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. So the more you remain in that absence, and then the more you understand, the deeper you understand how things are relatively exist, how things illusion like existence. So to meditate, to abide in that absence, you have to use the logic to to negate that. So when you negate, and then the way you negate, just remain in that absence. Right? So maybe 2-3 minutes, and then you see now this is what you negate, and what is your understanding of myself, and then say, oh, relatively. So relatively existing. So you're always coming back to the relatively existing. The illusion-like phenomena is still there as the reality. Yeah. So sometimes people meditate in emptiness, and then they just how say too extremely empty, and then says, oh, there's no self, there's no person. That is nihilism. So you have to come back a relatively exists. This is why Buddha says illusion-like phenomena is there. The sentient being who express it's beautiful, it's not beautiful, it is ugly. That is also there because that's the illusion. And sentient beings, that is a very sentient being finds it is the condition for their suffering, or it is the condition for that gives them happiness. That is also there. So that illusion-like phenomena is understanding of that, deeper understanding of the nature of that illusions by the noble being who find the peace is also that. So that illusion-like phenomena is, uh, sees differently, but illusion is still there because it's kind of like it is the best filter, the strainer, strainer. So it filters negative thoughts and they keep the positive thoughts. So
that is the goal of all this analysis.
Yeah,
that is it.
So negative emotions, like a delusional emotions, delusional minds, are extreme exaggeration through exaggerating an object. So that is, pacified by understanding this is the relative existing. So that kind of realization, the realization that things are like illusion, like phenomena, pacifies negative emotions, exaggerations, superimpositions. So this, the peace the peace, the permanent state of peace is through pacifying exaggeration, superimpositional, by pacifying them, and then you find sustainable, reliable, the permanent state of peace. So I think this requires so many understandings. So from many angles, you have to understand from many angles. Then the meditation is all same. Absence of no I, no part, no no eye, no nose, no tongue, no sound, no smell, no taste. That is objectively absence of eye, absence of nose, absence of tongue, absence of form, smell, taste, textures. So that the absence is the object to meditate, to constantly, focus, remaining focused on those objects. So the more you now to correct that your understanding or your focus is going correctly or incorrectly. So the correct understanding is right after that meditation, you come back, understand the more deeper understanding of the relatively existing. So that means your emptiness is going on the right way. So if your emptiness keep negating everything's, so that means it is nihilism.